Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here today. My name is Nikki and I'm a homeschooling mom of 6 kids. And I am not just a homeschooling mom, I'm a veteran homeschool mom and I'm very proud of that. I have been homeschooling my kids since my oldest, who is now 14, was 3 years old. So I've been doing this a while. And so all of these videos are from an experienced homeschool mom. And in today's video, we are going to be talking unit studies, how I come up with them, what I use for this specific study, all the things. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found our little corner of the internet. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you have not yet already. Okay, so grab a cup of coffee and get cozy because we are talking unit studies, specifically migration unit study. This is the unit study that we just did. And it was a fun one. And so I get asked all the time, how do you plan these unit studies? What do you use? What curriculum do you use? I don't. I plan them all. A lot of times it's things based off of what my kids are into, what they're interested in, or sometimes I'll see inspiration on Instagram, another mom talking about a unit study of some sorts, and then I'll compile all of my things together. So in this video specifically, we are talking about migration. We have touched on this topic before, but I'm not really sure why it took until this year for us to take a deep dive into the topic, but it was a good one and it was so fun and such a blessing, and I hope you enjoy. So it all started with this book here, Migration. This is a book that I checked out from the library, which if you are not utilizing your library, you need to start ASAP. It is free, they have free resources, and it is like a fun outing for your kids. Like, there's zero reason where you should not be utilizing your library. Let me just say it again. Zero reason, okay? But all that being said, I do have a large collection of books that I have gathered over the last however many years I've been doing this thing. And this is one that I'm going to add to the collection. And it's not often that I say, okay, I'm just gonna order that book. But this is one. This is a good one. It is Migration, and the pictures are beautifully illustrated. And so what I did is each morning we eat breakfast together around the table. That is a very big priority to me, to have that family time. We eat breakfast, and most nights, I would say 90% of the time, we eat dinner together. Honestly, we eat all of our meals together, but those who are like around the table, specifically designed for that. So after breakfast, immediately following breakfast, I usually will do some sort of like read aloud or touch base on a unit study, whatever that may look like. After we get through with chores, we all come back together and then we do this type of stuff. So each morning at breakfast, I would just let them pick an animal and I would just read a page. That's the thing I think people think about unit studies or learning in general, is that we have to have everything like super structured, super regimented, and we don't. It can be as simple as a book. My 3 and 4-year-old only sat in for the most part for this book, and the amount of stuff that they would tell their dad that they learned about at night was kind of cool. Like, they listen, and that, in my opinion, older kids and younger kids learn so much by reading, and specifically picture books. I think they are a 10 out of 10. And so it all kind of started with this book. And like I said, we would just sit around the table, read this book. And so from there, I asked them if there were anything in specifically that they were interested in learning about. And I had them create a project for that, a presentation. So they had to create a presentation. It had to include a 3D object, a painting, and it had to be something that they could present with facts on the animal or insect of choice for migration. And so then they presented that at the end of the week to us, and we FaceTimed my grandmother, so she got to see it as well. And we live in a large family, so it is like an actual like public speaking type thing that they're required to do. This isn't a silly thing. It is like public speaking practice. And so they presented that to us, and then we rounded off the week with watching the Migration movie. If you are interested in seeing what I require of their projects and that type of thing for the end of the week, unit study project, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will be happy to film a video on that and how like we kind of make it fun and learning fun, X, Y, and Z. But like I said, from this specific book, I then picked 2 things to do a deeper dive into. And the first one we did were dragonflies. Look at this. This may be one of my favorite crafts that we have ever done in our homeschool. These are 3D dragonflies, and we made them. I will link the guy who I got the idea from down below. But on this particular day, we took a deep dive into dragonflies. So I'm going to share with you guys the materials and things that I had set out for them to teach and to learn about the migration and life of a dragonfly. You can also find a more in-depth look and exactly where I got all of these things over on our Instagram page, and it's High Tide Hive, one word. So go follow us over there, and I have reels on both the dragonfly and monarch butterfly already up for you, as well as carousels where you can just flip through and see the pictures with all the information listed below. So so as far as, let's see. Oh, this was fun too. Let me share this. So each morning when we read aloud from the migration book, we would use this. This is from Imagination Starters. We would use this chalkboard mat of the world, and we would mark where, like, you know, for instance, butterflies started from and where they migrated to, or where whales started from and where they migrated to. So that gave them a visual. Anytime you can give them a visual, it brings it to life. So we are talking dragonflies. Do not have. Okay, so I used obviously the dragonfly page from the migration book, and then these are the other 2 resources that I frequented throughout the week. Okay, so I have another video talking about how this book was just not my jam. It was like one that was floating around the internet last year, and I ordered it, and I was like, okay, well this year this book is my jam. So that just shows you how like seasons change and you evolve. This book has covered almost every like deep dive that we've taken this year, and it's pretty good. It's very short, simple, sweet. I'm going to try to find the dragonfly one to show you guys. Let's see. Sorry, I should have had this marked. But it is just a slow down book, and it just has a few facts about each of the topics that we have gone over. So like this was the dragonfly page, and it just has a few facts. So it's not overwhelming. So I would have my younger kids sit in for this too, but I recommend this. Had the dragonfly and the monarch butterfly in it, both of which we talked about during migration, and it also has bats in it, and we are taking a deep dive into bats either tomorrow or next Monday, because right now we are currently doing nocturnal animals, and bats also migrate, so we're going to learn about both of those together. And so everything just flows. You just have to make it flow, and the longer you do it, the more you figure that out. So that was a great resource to have. And then I love these books. Okay, if you are thrifting, these are old books. These are Cartwheel books by Scholastic, but they are so cool. They're my first discovery book, and this is The River. But this is why they're so cool. I think I've shared these before. They have these like translucent or clear pages, whatever you want to call them. And so when it turns, it becomes something else. And so in this book, let's see, they have the dragonfly. Let's see, life cycle. Here it is. So it's like this on this page, and then when you turn it, it goes into something else. So I love these books to have on hand for any kind of educational purpose. These have been a great resource. I'm sure Thrift Books or somewhere has them. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big thrifter, so I have tons of these books that I've thrifted over the years. And then we also used this Nature School book right here. And it is just a cool resource to have. These specifically had the monarchs in it. And then for the dragonfly unit, I had them, like I said, you can see all of this more in detail over on our Instagram page. But I purchased Stephanie Hathaway's dragonfly unit. It was like $3 or something like that. But I needed to have the anatomy of the dragonfly for them. And then she also has facts about the dragonfly. Her work is just beautifully illustrated, and I think that's what gets me. You can see how I set things out, like I said, over on Instagram, and a lot of it to me that brings their learning to life and, you know, makes them enjoy it more, I feel like, is the way I present it. So, I mean, anybody could just set a random book of here, let's learn about a dragonfly, like they do in a classroom, right? But then when you present it in a way to make learning fun, it engages them and it really grabs their attention and it interests them, and then they want to learn more, okay? So that's just kind of how I do it. I also set some things out for the younger kids. Holy glitter. Glitter just fell off everywhere for them to do. This is also from her pack. We have lots of glitter on these dragonflies. But I like her packs because they do include things like that for the younger crowd, as well as, like here's like a tracing thing. We didn't even get to that. As well as things for my older kids. So there's like very great educational resources in there. But again, it's the watercolor illustrations for me that just make it like so realistic. Look at this. Did y'all see that? That's glitter that just fell off. I know, I don't even know why I did that, just for fun. Okay, so then I have my older kids do notebooking. I only have 2 of their notebooks here. Oh, my third son, he's gonna bring me his notebook. Will you turn it to the dragonfly? Okay, so they are required to notebook things that they learned about the dragonfly, and then this child did the migration of the dragonfly. Okay, and then here comes his. Come on. I'll share his monarch one. I'll share them both in just a second. So that leads us to, that is all that we did, and then we created these, like I said, these dragonflies. And they did their presentation and their projects on them. Okay, here we go. Here's his dragonfly. So that concludes the dragonfly thing. So then that's gonna lead us directly into the migration of a monarch, which you did not. Okay, all right, so again, I had them notebook what they learned about monarchs. I'm just giving you 2 examples here. You can see how totally different they are, but what they learned about. Sometimes I will tell them what needs to be included, and then other times I'm like, hey, you notebook what you learned. So it's very hands-on learning resource. Again, I had them do we learned about it in the Slowdown book, as well as in the Migration book here. And then I had these 2 books set out that we read together, the Magnificent Monarchs and the Monarch Butterflies by Gail Gibbons. I have a love-hate with Gail Gibbons, okay? Her pictures, her illustrations are beautiful. Most of her facts are, the books are, you know, very factful. My hate comes in is because I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and she'll say things like, millions of years ago. Okay, well, we know that's not true. So me as the homeschool mom, and using the discernment that I have from the Lord, I just don't read that, because everything else is very well done, like as far as like the information about the monarchs and the caterpillars, and everything else is fine. But it always starts out in the beginning for whatever reason, the coral reef, the whales, all of them, and I just skip it. So that's just like your PSA warning, okay? So I use those 2 for monarchs, and then I also have, again, bringing it to life, I had monarch butterfly wings, and we are going to grab a native milkweed plant so that we can grow our own monarchs. So again, or the caterpillars that will turn into monarchs, you know what I mean? But so again, it's any way I can find to bring it to life, we do. We also watched a migration video about the dragonflies, and just whatever they're interested in, we just bring it to life. Other books that I had for this unit were We Are the Starlings, and this was a beautiful illustrated book. I also had The Secret Life of the Little Brown Bat, and then, where was my, here it is. And then I had the Tiny Bird about the hummingbird's journey. This was a beautifully illustrated book and went right along with what we were talking about, because hummingbirds again are in the migration book that we did. So yeah, that's it. Super simple, based off of one book. Grabbed my library card, typed all the stuff in the computer, and did that, just found all the books to go with it, the resources, the picture books. Like I said before, I feel like picture books are like the key to learning, even for my 14-year-old. Okay, so yeah, if you are new here, I have ages 14 all the way down to an 8-month-old, but specifically grades 8th, 7th, 2nd, kindergarten, and preschool, and all of my children were able to sit around the table to do these activities together. So if you're a first-time homeschooler or you are newer to unit studies, I would say just wing it. Find accounts like mine on Instagram that you can follow that give you creative ideas. If you're newer, copy them to a T. Check the books out that I checked out. Go to Stephanie Hathaway's page, pay $3 for the Dragonfly printable, and be done, and call it a day. Like, there doesn't have to be a lot of thought that goes into it. The more you homeschool, the better you're going to get at creating and figuring out how to do these type of things with less pressure and stress on yourself. So utilize those of us, who God has called to put our stuff out there for you guys. Utilize us and let us just help you along the journey. And if you want to do something different, do something different. That's the beauty of homeschool, is like you can do whatever you want to do to bring learning to life. I hope this video found you well. And if you want to see our next unit study and the resources that I used for that, which will be nocturnal animals, we are wrapping that up very soon, then comment down below and I'll be happy to film that video and the resources that I use. Thank you so much for being here, and I pray this video is a blessing and an encouragement to all of you guys. See you in the next one.